Dr. Pieter Groenewald of Freedom Front Plus has arrived to the Results Operations Centre. I think it's the first time you're arriving since results started trickling in. The Western Cape, Freedom Front Plus has a number of concerns there. We know that today is the big objection day. Freedom Front Plus has flagged a number of discrepancies. What are your concerns as Freedom Front Plus?
Our concerns are actually the fact that many voters stood up early to go and vote. And when they arrived at the voting station, they were informed that either they were registered at a different point, although they have proof that they are registered at that specific voting station, but they didn't allow them to vote. Many voters, in terms of the system, said that they can only receive one ballot, either the national ballot or the regional ballot or only the provincial ballot. And it took the Electoral Commission up till about 1 o'clock to realize that it was a big problem, and then they've put out a directive to say to voting stations and the presiding officers, in that case, if the person is on the voting roll, on the hard copy, then that person must receive all 3 ballots. Now my question is, it's not the first time that we experience these problems. In 2021, it was exactly the same. In the 2 days before election day, with special votes, we also had the problem with the system. Why didn't the Electoral Commission sorted that out? Specifically, if you have an election like we had, where everything is on a knife edge, they should have been prepared better. And to say it's technical problems, it's not a good excuse.
Do you estimate it to have a substantive material difference to your election outcome in these polls?
It's difficult to say, because even if you look at the system now, it's very difficult to look at specific comparisons. For instance, where you get certain voting stations where people voted, say for 300 people voted on the national ballot for the Freedom Front Plus, and they voted, say, 300 people on the regional list. But when it comes to the provincial list, it's 0. So it's obvious there's a problem. And it's very difficult to use a system at the moment to control all those voting stations. But so to ask me whether it is a substantive difference is difficult to determine that as well. But that's why we're also part of the other parties in the Western Cape at this moment asking for a recount. And we're still considering whether we will have a recount nationally as well.
Is this under the assumption that your voters would have approached all 3 ballots in the same manner?
Yeah, it's under that, because they did not receive all the ballots. And if you look at the results, it just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense.
Is it not possibly due to some of the Freedom Front Plus voters that joined you in 2019 may be going back to their original home?
There's no doubt. There are some of them. But if you have a ballot or a voting station where the Freedom Front Plus received 300 on the national ballot and 300 on the regional ballot, there's no way that none of them would have not voted for the Freedom Front Plus on municipal level.
Lastly,
or not municipal, sorry, provincial level.
Lastly, Dr. Groenewald, is this laying a foundation for a legal dispute of the election outcome?
Of course, yes. It is only a matter to determine how big is this problem, and as you ask, what will be the overall effect. Now, I know what courts normally do when you go with results to them. They say, would it have been made a real difference?
A material difference, yes.
Material difference. So let's see.
All right, thank you. Dr. Groenewald of the Freedom Front Plus, confirming that they're monitoring those results quite closely, and then, of course, if they identify a material defect in the electoral outcome come the 2024 national and provincial elections declaration by the IEC, then you could possibly expect a legal dispute at least coming from Freedom Front Plus. Over to you, Chris Alden, studio.